All right. Hello. Welcome to RMR Training Podcast. My name is Rich Ryan. Today, Meg Jacoby's here. It's been a minute, Meg. What's up?
Hello. I'm hanging out,
Just chilling.
just chilling,
What are you doing? What are you doing with all your time?
crying.
Just
No.
crying. Just curled into a ball.
Um, honestly, I've just kind of dove deeper into coaching and just making sure I have the time, so just making sure I'm being really supportive and watching a lot of Netflix and just planning things for the future comeback. Just trying to,
Comeback season. It's upon us.
yeah.
But
Mhm.
you did have some of your athletes here, coach. You were just talking before, getting good results on that end. Small group crushed. Some of the one-on-ones are crushing. What on Netflix? Anything good? Did you watch that show I recommended?
Yes, I
Did you like
actually
it?
started it before you had recommended it and forgot about it. And then I
Hmm.
was like, "Oh, I should watch that." And then I was like, "Oh, I did start this."
It's
But I
cute.
I also rewatched all of Yellowstone. That's one of my favorite shows. So I restarted from like season 1 and I'm finishing up season 5. I got a lot of time on my hands.
Just
I
just
got a lot of sleepy naps to take. So
Oh, I'm glad you're occupying it. So, today we're going to talk about kind of what you've been up to. You haven't been on pod for a bit, just not even for one reason or another. It's just more just like scheduling of things. But last time you were on, you have come out and you're now open about the injury you had experienced and the surgery you had to undergo, which is now what are we at? Like 2 or 3 weeks post?
exactly 2 weeks and 2 days.
2 weeks post surgery.
Yeah.
So I'd love to just kind of dive in and talk about what's going on, kind of how the injury came about, or what your thoughts were on that, and kind of what just like where your head's at, where your body's at, just to let the people know how the world champ is, and I guess
Yeah.
just kind of what the plan is. So I guess just like yeah, tell us about when things kind of started to be and then you kind of started to go back into kind of get some medical advice because this is not the first time you sustained something like this, correct?
Correct. So that's actually what I would love to start with. I had to ask a lot of accounts and people to remove my posts that they shared because they were saying stuff like HYROX training can cause this, that, and the other. This had nothing to do with HYROX training. Absolutely zero to do with it. This didn't happen during training, and this didn't happen because of training. So I just really want to make sure that that's very, very clear. I train very smart, and I have been for 2 years. I really listen to my body. So this isn't like I went into the gym and like ego lifted, deadlifting, and threw my back out and ruined my whole season. When I was 25, I had a severe disc herniation after I had my daughter when I was 23, and I dealt with it for about 2 years in and out of PT. Would come and go with pain, and then at a certain point, it got so severe that I underwent a disectomy at 25. That's why I'm now having this issue because I have a major weakness already in my low back. When they looked at my MRI, there is zero muscle protecting the vertebrae in my deep spine. So it's gone. There is nothing there. And that's what keeps the discs and helps keep the disc inside the vertebrae. So if you have nothing holding them in there, at some point, they're, especially with the amount of activity we are doing and the amount of training I am doing, it can lead to problems. So that's what happened in my case. And it happened right after Amsterdam. They could tell by the MRI that it was very new. It wasn't like
Mm.
something I had happened 6 months ago and like I didn't feel it and then it got worse. It was right after Amsterdam. They could tell it was probably within the last 4 weeks of when I got the MRI. So what happened was I raced, ran my best time like ever, and then I come home. I did a few time trials, my 10K, I did a 2K row, 2K ski, and then a 100 burpee test. Had like the best times I've ever done, arguably. I was almost I almost tied my 10K PR from a few years ago. And this was like when I was in peak running shape. I was 130-ish pounds. So I'm about like 6 to 8 pounds heavier than that, way more muscular. So I was running my best times at that point. So I was really excited because we know with my background that if I can get my times to those times or faster, then it's going to translate super well into HYROX for me. So we were really like right there. And I was really excited about the season and just like defending the title and all of that. And then Monday morning, this is a week and 2 days after Amsterdam, I wake up with just like pain radiating down my leg. It was not like a trauma thing. Like I didn't do anything. I just woke up. I knew it didn't feel right. And of course, you're trying not to panic. So I'm going to the gym to do my session and I'm warming up and I feel okay. And then I start, I go in to start doing my strength session. I can tell something is wrong right away. I
Mm.
think I load like a very minimal weight on the barbell. And I was like, oh no, this is not great. So I knew what was going on because, like I said, I've had this before. So I'm, trying not to panic, but I'm, kind of freaking out inside. And I immediately go to PT, and I was going to PT 3 times a week for a couple weeks. And it was not helping at all. In fact, actually going to PT I was in the most pain during PT. So
Mm.
wasn't sleeping. I was able to do the crazy thing is the amount of training I was able to do. Um, I mean, I think, as athletes, we're very resilient and our pain tolerance is incredibly high, but I think mine is significant. So I was doing a ton of cycling. I could still do all the ergs. I was doing a metcon work, just like anything I could do. I'd just work around it as much as I could. I couldn't do any jumping at all, like not a single, no jumping. So burpees, I was doing like stepping both feet back, going down, basically just doing a strict push up and then stepping both feet up and like standing up. That was like the only way I could do a burpee. Running was an immediate no, but those were like really the only two, and then squatting. But I could air squat and I could do wall balls, and that was fine. But any loading of weight was like an absolute no. So I just kind of like did what I could do, and I spent a lot of time on the Concept 2 bike and the assault bike and rowing and ergs, and then I flew to Cyprus and had an MRI done right away here. Just the healthcare system here is way faster and way more affordable.
Yeah,
So
that's for sure.
they got me in, like I called and they were like, yeah, come now. And I was like, all right. So
Cool.
MRI done, had it assessed by 3 different doctors, sent it to my PT at home, and every single one of them said that it's looking like surgery for sure, especially because I'm a pro athlete. So prolonging this, it's likely not, it was so far out, there's literal really zero chance of this getting better. Can symptoms be controlled? Sure. But with what I do and how quickly I need the turnaround to be and how quickly I need to come back, instead of waiting months to try to get better and then for sure probably be out for worlds, it was like, if we do this quick right now and get this done and then do the proper rehab, then we can, hopefully be ready by June. So we actually found a neurologist in Germany who does a very different type of technique for a disc surgery. I can't really pronounce it.
Give it a shot. Do
It is not a disectomy. I need everybody to understand that. I've had a million messages of people. I know you guys care and I really, really appreciate it, but I promise you, I have an amazing team of people guiding me. I'm not doing anything too quickly. Please don't tell me what to do. Please don't tell me to do Pilates. Please don't tell me not to push it. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But my surgery, they went through my side. So my scar is on my hip. They went through the vertebrae on the side with a really teeny, like, I don't know, tube straw type thing. And that's how they removed the disc. And the reason they do it that way is because it's way less invasive to the tendons, to the muscles. There's no, they can access the disc way easier without disruption. So
Wow.
I have literal one stitch. That's it. And I've had a discectomy before. My scar is about that big. It's like
An
a full,
inch. Yeah.
and I was in so much pain after that for about 2 weeks. Like, I was on painkillers. I couldn't move. I couldn't walk a ton. I was walking after this within 1 hour of coming out of surgery. I
Wow.
had not taken a single painkiller. I was not under general anesthesia either. I was under like a local and then like just the sleepy drugs. And they
What?
do that so they can talk to me. I don't know that this is happening, because otherwise this would not, would not have been able to do this. They are messing with it and they want to see what I can feel. So they're telling me, move your right foot. Can you flex your calf? Can you move your leg? And so they're doing this the whole time. I have no recollection of it. But this is also how they're making sure they're not creating more damage with the nerve or anything like that during the surgery. So this is why we went there. But basically the plan now is be going to Germany, back to my neurologist's office. He has created these machines. One is for the upper spine and one is for the lower spine, that they pinpoint the area. There's no exercise that can really target the deep core muscles,
Hmm.
because especially when you're athletes, you start to compensate, and now we're using just like our external show muscles. Like, if you've watched my training, I do reverse hypers all the time. My back is not weak externally. I mean, if you've seen my upper back, then you damn well know I'm friggin' ripped. It is not that. It's my deep core that you can't isolate really in any movement. That's the problem. So they have a machine that target that, and you're kind of like really restricted in it, so nothing else can work. And they have, I don't really know fully exactly
Hmm.
what, but I'll be there for 4 weeks. I have to do about 20 sessions with them to build that deep core muscle up, and then I should really have no problems going forward. So the only bad side of that is we'll be in Germany for the whole month of January, which is not the most pleasant time of year to be there. So
Thought you were gonna be at Cyprus all winter. You're like, I'm just
yeah,
gonna be on the
like
beach, chilling.
in January, he likes to, go to like the beach somewhere, and instead we're going to a very cold place.
That's some make the parallels with you and the Mamba mentality and like the MJ of it all. But this is some Kobe shit right here. You know, Kobe went to Germany, got his
Yep,
knee fixed, came
yep.
back out, was still him. You're just on that Kobe trajectory.
I've been listening to so much Kobe lately.
Oh, have you?
There's some really good like Spotify compilations of him from various interviews. And I'll just put out, they're like 48 minutes, and like I'll sit on the bike and I'll just be like deep in my thoughts, just like, and just listening to him. But they have Michael Jordan ones, they have a lot. So I listen to a lot of that.
White
Um,
Puma times Black Mamba. That's what we got. So yes, and that's one thing that so this sounds really interesting. The approach that this surgeon has been able to perfect enough that he feels comfortable to do it onto people, right? Like this is clearly someone who is at the top of his craft. If they're like,
yes.
okay, here's how they teach it, here's how everybody does it, and he's like, I can see a better way. Let
Yeah.
me, and then has done it enough, and then he can do it without
He,
knocking you out
like,
is craziness.
I think he said he's done 8,000 surgeries this
Wow.
way.
Okay.
So I felt very comfortable, very confident, because I was like, okay, this is the funniest part about this. So if you know me at all, anyone listening, I don't really do anything half-assed. That's just not my vibe. It's like 120% or zero. Like, there is no like average, mediocre. Like, it's like I am all in, 100% go, or I'm like, no, fuck that. And this was one of the worst cases they've ever had. I get out of the surgery and they tell me, yeah, so since the MRI you had done 2 weeks ago, you made this significantly worse. The disc was so much further out into the nerve root than the MRI showed. So because I continued training, obviously,
Still
because
did stuff.
well, think about it. So I know I'm having a surgery, but if every day I stop is a day on the other side that I'm worse. I'm more out of shape. You know what I mean? So like in my head, I'm like I'm doing, and it's also the mental. It's for the
For sure.
mental. Like I'm super disappointed. I'm very frustrated. So obviously I need to exercise, but they were basically like, yeah, so whatever you were doing the last 2 weeks, you made it worse. And this was one of the hardest surgeries like this we've ever done. And they were like, it was
Nice.
successful, but like, just so you know, and
You go hard.
like, yeah, of course she had to make it the hard. God forbid she make anything easy for herself. So that was a little funny to hear at the
I
end.
like it. I think it's funny. I do like this. That yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not surprised about that. But also, like, and leading in where even before like you knew it, like that the surgery was coming, there have been times throughout the past whatever 18 months or so where you've kind of come up on something and have been like, man, this isn't great. I don't know what the future is going to be. And you've worked yourself and like you found ways around it and you rehabbed
Yep.
to continue to stay strong and to continue to keep your fitness high, and you performed at the highest level at the biggest point. So it's when you're kind of going through this, there's evidence that this might not be setting you back further because you've gone in these ups and downs and to be able to come out of the side successfully. But this was just one of those things that's just like there's no
Yeah.
way to rehab something like this.
With no return from
Yeah.
this. And
Right.
3 different doctors, all doing backs, telling you the same thing. I mean, it pretty much solidified, because it's like, oh, maybe we should get a second opinion, and then the second opinion is like, no, definitely surgery, and then the third opinion is also like, yeah, you're gonna have surgery, and like we can do it in 2 days. And I was like, Jesus Christ. So I think the scariest thing for me is, so because I wasn't under general anesthesia, like I walked into the surgical room, and I started having a panic attack.
Because you like
So
saw the
yeah,
implements. You like
and I'm seeing the table they're having me lay down. I lay down and get in position, and they're strapping me to the table, and I'm literally shaking, and I can't breathe. And I had 5 people around me telling me like, it's gonna be okay. You can choose to do it. You don't have to. And I'm like, I have no choice. I'm like, I have no choice. I have no choice. But I'm like feeling so like upset. I'm like pissed off, but I'm like crying, and I'm like, why am I saying this stuff? So that was really
right.
new for me.
I mean, that is just something that
Like, I knew that was going to happen, and I should have warned you. I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know anything about like, I, I hate hospital stuff. And so my mom knew this was going to be like this.
awesome.
Like she knew like, oh, if you're not fully under, they're gonna like, you're gonna walk in and not tell me anything.
But
But
even
probably wouldn't have even have done it.
and
So
but like even if you did know that like you could come in, you see all this stuff, you're like, oh, whatever. But then like when you're in it, like the feeling that would just like come up. I'm sure you weren't anticipating that. I'm sure there's no way you were like, I'm gonna get this surgery, I'm gonna be good to go. But then the
yeah,
realization of the surgery, like I've never been through anything like this, so I couldn't say either. But I can imagine like the realness of that moment was probably overwhelming.
yeah. And like I said, the first surgery I had done was different. So I was out before
Right.
I'm completely feeling me into a thing. They're doing it, and I'm coming out, and I'm waking up, and I'm saying weird stuff, and I don't know what's going on at all. So this was, I come out of it. They're controlling whether I'm asleep or not. So like this, when they're done, like putting everything together, like they're waking me up. So it was like, yeah, it was really crazy. But
Yeah.
said, I was up and walking an hour later. So that was pretty crazy. And I have to wear this brace thing for like
Look,
another 1 week. Thank God, I can't wait to get this thing off.
did
Um,
they did you like look around, try to shop around for something to like match the fits? No?
now black's my color.
Black
So
works.
was good, but I'm already cycling. So I think that's hugely, I mean, and again, this is why like I love all of you, and I know that this looks crazy to probably most of you, but that's why everybody's like, don't rush back, like don't start too soon, like relax, blah blah blah, and like, everybody's concerned because I don't think this isn't a method that anybody is familiar with. So my recovery time is significantly shortened, comparatively, and I can keep building on the cycling the next couple weeks, and then while I'm in Germany, we'll be able to start implementing other movements, different movements, seeing what, what I'm able to do. I feel like I could go run 20 miles right now. Like I feel amazing. I'm not, don't worry, but trust me, I'm like really itching. So, but I'm sticking to the bike. I'm doing bike workouts. I'm getting quite good at it, actually. I didn't know I was getting good at it, but then people were telling me 200 watts is really good. And I was like, really? It's
You're on a
really hard.
you're on a stationary bike, right?
I'm on a stationary bike. Yes,
Yeah,
I'm on
yeah,
a
yeah. You're not out there in
inside or out.
spandex. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like now it's just coming up with ways to keep my mind occupied on that instead of just sitting there and like spinning aimlessly. So yeah.
It's this is like never something you want to have happen is for an injury, but like when you every time I've had a setback like this where I've been forced to kind of change something, I learned so much about something else.
Mhm.
I'm not like, oh, sick, cool. Now I get to learn about cycling. It's like, but the outcome is always another tool in the toolbox that you have direct experience with. So
Yeah,
from that perspective, like it's going to make you a better athlete. It's going to make you a better coach, but it's just going to take some time to like
for
do
sure.
it and learn it, and it's gonna suck.
Yep.
um, so yeah, so the surgery happened. You went through with it, and it was kind of like up and down for a minute, but like glad that happened, especially when it did come down to being like, if you want to be an athlete again, like this is the option, right?
Yep.
So, I guess then, um, so now you're on your road back. You're starting to be a little bit more active again. So I'm sure that feels great, and just like being a little more optimistic. Like, okay, like I'm gonna get better, and I'm gonna get back in competition. But just from where you were, even whatever 4 or 5 months ago, from a mental headspace stance to now,
Yeah.
where it was like highest performer in the world, coming off world championship, everything's up and up and up, and now it's almost like there has to be a lot of feeling of unknown
Mhm.
and um just like less certainty and like scared of what the future has. So I guess like talk us through that. Like what's it been like to have this pretty wild shift in your personal stance as an athlete in
Yeah.
in like a short amount of time?
Yeah, it was one of those things where I'm a very reluctant person to post when I am having issues
Mhm.
on social media. I'm not a person who likes to make excuses or be like, "Oh, I'm not fit because blah blah blah, so I don't know how this race is gonna go." Like I will never post something like that. But it was getting really difficult to keep it quiet. I was at the athletic camp, um, and some other elite athletes were there, and of course they knew, and so then I knew it was going to start getting around, and everybody was asking me when the announcement was made for Hong Kong, like, "Oh, why?"
Major, right.
I think I had 100 DMs asking why I wasn't on the lineup.
Really?
Yeah. And like at one point I'm like, I just don't want to travel, and then it's like, all right, that's so like everyone else is traveling there, so like that doesn't really make sense. So then once we had things locked in that I was having the surgery, that I actually did have the surgery, it felt like, and I told my sponsors first, and obviously my manager was heavily involved. Then it felt like I needed to say something because I'm also not going to have any training content for a few weeks, and that's pretty likely. So it was, and
Right.
then I'm gonna race Vegas, and I'm not going to race Glasgow. So like, I need to talk about it. And actually, that felt really good.
Mm.
Being able to kind of like express what I've been going through and where my head is at, and I think me, I'm tearing up right now. I've been through a lot of hard stuff in my life. And I think one of the things that creates is it does create a lot of strength. But sometimes because of that, I don't allow myself to feel things.
Mm.
I'm like, nope, fuck that, whatever. Like, you're fine. You know what I mean? And sometimes you can't just glaze over your feelings. Um, and I'm really blessed that I had Benny because he sees how hard I work every day. And he knew it was just as devastating for him as he knows it is for me. And just everybody's telling you like, oh, you're gonna come back. You're gonna come back so fast. You have no idea, like, muscle memory and all of it, like everything you've built, like you're gonna get it back so quick. And that's like probably true and hopefully true. And I'm starting to believe that more now that I'm able to like do more again. But you don't really know.
Mm.
And when it takes so long to, running, I've been running for 21 years. I know the process. I know that that's going to come back because I've been running for 21 years. It's going to come back quick. But this is going to be a grind for me. And I'm very aware of that. And I think that while I'm very up for that challenge because I love training. I love training more than I love competing. Genuinely, I love to push myself and train. That's where I feel, like this is who I am, and I love training. And I've never been the person that needs a competition to train my ass off. That's just
Mm.
like DNA. So I'm ready for that. But at the same time, I think it is a little scary because I don't really know what I'm going to look like in June. I don't really know what I'm going to be able to do in June, and certainly not right now. So, when you're coming off of the best season of your career, one of the best years of my life, it's really hard. It's really, really hard because I feel like everybody works their ass off. And anybody who's in the Elite 15 and who races in these majors and worlds, like they totally deserve it. Don't get me wrong. But I've also taken so many chances and quitting my job and changing my whole life and being a single parent and doing it all, taking risks to make this professional career a reality is really difficult. And I kind of felt like for a while, why me, dude? Like,
Mm.
haven't I proven myself? Haven't I done everything right? Like, betting on me and just really believing that I can do this and then not just believing, but fucking doing it. Really doing it. Um, so that was really hard to swallow for a while. But honestly, I don't think anybody understands how crazy I will become now after this. Every time I've had, like, legit, every time in my life, I've had a big setback in some way. Most of the time, it was in my personal life in years past. I became such an incredible athlete in whatever it was that I was doing at the time and focusing on at the time. Every time I went through a bad breakup, I became a fucking animal.
Yeah, double
Like,
down.
that's like how I deal with it. I like fully lean in. I had a really bad breakup when I was like 7. And then that year, I started running the fastest times of my life. That's when I went sub 17 for 5Ks. I was running low 17 regularly. I ran a 34:50 10K. Like that was when I was like the fastest I'd ever been. So I know that that's what will happen here. Um, but it was hard. Like the day after I get out of surgery is the Hong Kong major,
Right.
so
Like
uh,
this.
like
Right.
I'm watching the race. I'm so happy for everybody. The sleds looked heavy. Damn, I'm like kicking myself because I'm like that would have been such a good race for me. Like that's what I do the best is when it's heavy. hard. And so it was a little bit tough.
I'm sure it's like the whole stages of grief, right? Because
Yeah.
like you're grieving essentially. Now you're kind of coming out, like you've had the whole thing, acceptance, and then now you're at the upward turn piece where it's like, okay, we're coming back. So like that flow has to be
Yeah. Of
very, very challenging, especially for that. Can I ask one more question about this? Just like,
course.
okay. So
This
like,
time I've cried on the pod. I think this is number 3, but someone's probably counting. So if that's
yeah,
wrong,
it's at least 3, at least. I mean, you and Kent are pushing double digits, I think. Collectively, it might be close to triple. But so I have these feelings around. I've been pretty fortunate with my health for a while, but like you and I, we identify with each other in terms for a lot of things, but very much so as like we see ourselves as athletes,
yeah,
right? And now like it's been able to be extended like into our 30s, and I'm pushing close to 40, and I still have this as a key pillar in like my identity as like athlete.
yeah, yeah,
And I know one day like that will have to change. And like over the course of this time that I've just been like alive, it's like, okay, like that's not the only thing that I am, but it's still there.
yeah.
Um, with something like this that kind of takes you down out of like the athletic piece, have you been able to force to or like wanting to kind of like do some searching about who you are as a person?
Yeah, that's that's funny. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know who I am without it, and that was one thing that I was talking about a lot in the last 2 weeks, especially with Benny, and I it's such a staple in my life and a part of who I am, and it always has been.
Mhm.
Um, I was pushing Mila in the jogger running 2 weeks after I gave birth. Like that's me, and and I was fitter like 5 months after I gave birth than I was before I was pregnant. You know what I mean? Like that's like who I am, and so yeah, it's interesting. I think one thing I've always had in the back of my mind, just coming into this sport at 31, I know that there are other things I want in life that are difficult to do while having a professional career. And I'm not saying that you can't do them because people do it all the time. But I want to have a family, I obviously have Mila and now I have Benny. I would love to be a mom again. So I've always kind of said to myself, and just with my daughter getting older, my time in the sport is limited, and I'm doing that. That's from me, not necessarily because of age or ability. And it's because of the time commitment. And it's not that I don't want, I would do this forever, but my daughter's making so many sacrifices for me to be a pro athlete, and she's 10. 5 years from now, she's going to be 15 and probably not give a shit about hanging out with me.
Mhm.
So, you're giving so much to the sport because you have to. Like if you want to perform at this level, there is no way around that. It's double days, it's triple days sometimes, and that's just what needs to be done. And eventually the sport will grow to the point where the people winning are the people that are doing the most work. Smartly, but they're doing they are willing to do what no one else is willing to do. And it is kind of getting there already,
Yeah.
especially
There's more resources, more money coming in for sure.
money. I'm able to do this full time. People will start to be able to do this full time. And
Right.
with that comes more time to train, to recover, to do everything. So I know for me that, to have that stuff and have a family, I'm 33. 5 years from now, I'm 38. It's not as easy to start over and do that then. So, you never say never and you never know. And maybe I'll change my mind. Who knows? But I think that was another aspect of why this was kind of really disappointing for me, was
Mhm.
because I'm on top right now. I'm at the best of my game. I'm in the peak of my endurance ability. And I don't know if I want to do this for 10 years. I might only do it for 5 more years, or whatever the number ends up being. So to have a year like this, it's like really just a dagger to the heart in a lot of ways. But I would say that I've been very, if you know me and you see the things that I write and the things that I post, I have a notes section in my phone. And when I'm listening to inspirational stuff like the Kobe Bryant Spotify thing that I listen to, those types of people trigger thoughts to me, and I'll write them down because I want to be able to go back and read them. And in those moments, it's when I'm the strongest mentally, I'm the most inspired. And usually I'll look back on that, and when I'm having a bad day or I'm going through something, that helps pull me out of it. And I think everybody has self-doubt. The best athletes in the world, they have self-doubt. But the best people at handling that are the people that can pull themselves out of it just as quick. So as quick as you have that thought, turning it around, you have to be just as quick with it. You can't just sit in it and wallow. And that's something I'm very conscious of. So anytime I was getting down on myself, like, I would let myself feel it, but then I was like, okay, it's gonna be fine, and I'm just trying to turn it around as quick as I can. And I was able to do that by just listening to things and reading things. And I watched every CrossFit Games documentary. I watched Starting Five again. I watched first doc online, and all of those things, they just help pull me out of that dark place, and they remind me of everything I've gone through to be here. And this is just another bump in the road. This isn't the end.
Mhm.
But it's very easy to think it's over when you have something like this happen. And I think every athlete has gone through this where they're like, my career is over, maybe I have to hang it up. And a lot of them come back stronger. So that's my plan.
And the one thing I love that you said there, and you had mentioned it before, was just like in the past, like because of the uh, hardships that you've gone through, like there's like a hardening to your
Yeah.
personality, right? But having to force to be like, look at this issue straight in the grill and just be like, okay, I have to deal with this. Now has allowed you to have the time to like feel the feelings
Yeah.
and like addressing them, and then being able to make that turn to pull it more positive, or to pull it into a way that is going to serve you better, I think is just going to be so helpful. And I think that's a real key for just like the growth and the progress here, is like the actual feeling of it, which sucks. I'd rather not as well. But like if that is the process, it's where the learning is going to happen and the growth is going to happen. So it sounds like now, like your training is also just like on the bike is just time to spend with your thoughts about
Oh,
like dealing with this.
definitely. I think one thing, so this is really interesting too. I've always been the strong friend. Like any friends that I have, any group that I have, like it just probably doesn't come to, be a surprise to anybody. When you're the strong one, people don't tend to check on you
Mhm.
very often, right? So when you're going through a hard time, they're just like, hey, you good? And you're just like, yeah, I'm okay. A, you don't answer honestly because you're the strong one. You don't want to burden people. And then B, they just, oh, okay. And then in their heads, they're probably
They
like,
believe
it's
it.
got it.
Right.
She's fine. It's Meg. You know what I mean? She's not a problem for her. She'll be good. And I think being in a relationship where I feel extremely safe
Mm,
to be exactly who I am and not be judged for it, that's been really helpful while I'm going through this, because I feel like if I didn't have the partner that I have right now, or if I was just single,
right.
I would be having a much harder time, because I don't think I would have allowed myself to feel the way I feel when I was feeling it. It would probably come up later, and then it would be like just more chaotic in my head for a longer time than it needed to be, or whatever. And I think that's also been the really nice thing about the community. As many messages that I get that are kind of like, you know, you get so many that are so kind. And I think it also made me kind of remember the impact that I've had
Mhm.
and that I made on the sport, and that I matter to people. And me not being at a major matters to people, that they're bummed out that I'm not there. They're sad that this is happening for me. They want to see me come back stronger. And I think that that's also been really helpful while I'm going through this.
I can only imagine just knowing you before how your life is now. Like, if you were by yourself through this, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of it that you were going through before, like the lead up into most of your career here, it's been training on your own, living on your own, like
Yep.
trying to support and the environment you had wasn't super conducive for athletic performance in general, just like in terms of the general lifestyle. So like pretty fortunate to have your situation now. If it happened like last year, that'd have been not good.
No, definitely not.
That'd have been not good.
The other side of the coin is, if this happened last year, I would have had a disectomy and I would have been out of any load bearing activity for 6 weeks.
Right.
I would not have found a doctor in Germany. I would not have had that opportunity. Um, I would be in New York and I wouldn't even be able to like get out of bed for a few weeks and do normal day to day stuff. Like it's 2 days after someone messaged me. They were on vacation in Cyprus. Someone from HYROX. They saw me at the grocery store with Benny. Like, you look amazing. How are you walking? Like, grocery store right now. It was literally Saturday, and I had my surgery Thursday. So it was like, yeah, just being able to like get up and do stuff. And it would also have been way worse if I had to be stuck in the house. So I told Rich I got my hair done yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Looks
Um,
good.
my nails done. I don't get nails. I don't know. I don't do that.
That's
So
true. That's not gonna work. Yeah.
I was like, well, I'm not lifting for a while, so maybe I'll get my nails done for one. So I'm doing all the self care. I'm just living at this salon like down the street every day. It's like eyebrows. Next day, it's like I'll get my eyelashes done.
We got the time. This
Just
is the
to
time
get
for
out.
that.
Like I have to just like have a thing to do during the day. I need just like one thing that I need to go do, and that makes me feel like I had some purpose today. But yeah, it's it's these things always end up being, you look back and you say to yourself how much you learned during them. And I know that in a year from now I'll be like super not regretting this happened. It'll probably be a huge turning point in life for me in some way that I am not able to see yet or right now.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
that's what always happens, right?
Yeah. But when you're in it, it's like,
When you're in it,
I'm
it
not trying to
sucks.
hear that.
You're wondering why the fuck this is happening to you and not
Yeah.
someone else. Why me, really?
Right.
um so
So yeah, I mean, just the like a big part of your story, and I know you've been fairly open about talking about it, is this relationship that you've been able to experience with a partner that is uh just like perfect for you. Um, and that is just something that I feel is that like I'm sad for you that this is happening, but I'm also like so happy for you because of this part of your story that is coming along, and not just like having to live as the strong exterior person all the time and shoving things down. Like I just feel like this is just really great for you as a whole. So like I'm very happy for you, but also like sad that you're hurt, but very happy for you.
thank you. Yeah, I've never been this public about a relationship ever in my life. Usually I like don't post people and I don't really share a whole lot. And but this is different. And yeah, I mean, I think that's the reason I have this is because of all the things that I've gone through and everything that I built for myself. Because when you really take the time to open yourself up to possibilities and you take chances and you put yourself in rooms that you don't necessarily belong in yet, and you keep betting on you and because you genuinely believe in yourself and you love yourself, when you have that mentality, I think it opens you up to having better people in your life.
Mm.
Um, and that's like a thing that I realized was I was kind of choosing in my personal life. I was kind of always choosing the same type where I was like fixing people
Mm.
and in friendships. Like this was happening in friendships all the time. I was like always the go-to person to like fix everybody's problems. I was coaching everybody, all of my friends. I was like it was always like me giving a lot of myself to people, and it gets really exhausting. I think when you kind of remove certain things and you kind of like really take a good look at like why is this happening and you work on yourself, then it opens you up to just like maybe a higher caliber of person. And that's why this relationship ended up happening. We both have such a similar mindset with like his is in business and mine is in sports. But we have the sports in common. I mean, he's my favorite person to work out with. But the mindset is like we're both really positive people. We're both leaders. We're both like really the work ethic and like we're willing to do whatever it takes and like how do we make this happen and we figure it out. And I think when you have a team like that, it's like it's the strongest relationship I've ever been in. So yeah.
Right. So
So
you have a good support and like you're learning a lot. Yeah. So talk about the rehab a little bit. I guess just what's next? What's the plan?
So I'm not going to rush into racing, but I will be in Vegas. So I'm really excited because it's really hard to sit and watch races online. I hate not being in the community.
Right.
So
Right.
be in Vegas doing some sponsor stuff. And I'm trying to see if they'll let me do something with the live stream of the elite races.
Oh shit.
I sent a note and I was like, hey, it's me, Meg. Remember? Can I do something?
Yeah,
so
that would be cool. I wonder. Yeah, that would be interesting.
so
That's a
I
good
was
call.
to do some pre-race interviews like in the warm-up area with the athletes and stuff just because obviously I know everybody so well, so it's I just want to be involved in some way. I think that would also just make me feel good.
That would be
um,
interesting. Yeah, to watch to watch a race like that you're not going to be in. If it like sometimes it's nice just to be there and spectate because you're like, cool, I don't have all this like
yeah,
angst, you know. Um, but it probably will also kind of suck to watch. But you're already like it's not that you're missing out because you already have accomplished what you need to accomplish for like the longevity of this season.
yeah,
So you just be like, that race doesn't really matter to you anyway. So you can just be
true.
like,
And
whatever, I can
that
just watch and hang.
was like the timing of the injury, thankfully after I got qualified. Like we were like, could you imagine if this happened the week before or something? Like that would have been a nightmare. This
And
whole
then you're
season
like,
on. I would probably have coming off winning worlds, I'd probably have had to be racing the last chance qualifier in Barcelona if I didn't wasn't qualified in Amsterdam. Like I'm
right.
not
Like, and you'd be like scrambling to try to get there or to try to like push it for Scotland. And that would just not have been
back.
good. Yeah.
No, March is like really just out of the question because, like I said, I'll be doing rehab in January. I'll be incorporating things, but I'm not sure when I'll be able to start running again. And it's like I'm trying to really follow their advice so that really and truly this never happens to me again. So I'm not rushing the recovery. So I'm so glad that I don't feel like I have to rush to then get into a race and whatever. The first race I'll do will be a doubles with Benny at FIBO in April. And it's like just because it's fun and it's
Yeah.
not like a pressure thing. But if I feel great and I'm in shape or and maybe I'll jump in a pro there just for, just to like see where I'm at. But I'm not like, I'm really want to take my time to like really get back and not have to like rush things. So just doing some fun stuff. And then I think Camille and I will try to do the elite doubles in
In
Miami.
Miami. Okay. So you will be back for that. Cool.
Hopefully.
So that's late
Again,
April. Yeah.
it's late April. I'm hoping, again, that I'll be back. And I'm hoping that just being able to cycle will help, get my aerobic base back a little bit before I'm able to like start really gearing up again. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's an interesting enough timeline. It's about whatever 4.5 months or so, which comes quick, but
it's quick.
comes quick. But yeah, knowing you, I know that there's not going to be any shortage of effort. So like, if it's possible, like you're going to do it, and if it's like that's 100% the case.
Totally. It's an interesting thing because it's like accepting that you might not get to where you want to be by the time you need to be there,
Hmm.
but also having the will to, like, if it means I have to train 4 hours a day, I'll do that. If it means I have to sit on the bike for 2 hours every single day, I will do that. It's accepting that you're uncertain, but it's also knowing you're willing to do whatever it takes to at least try. And that's very much kind of the mindset that I'm having right now. It's like Benny and I are making plans on like how we should approach things. That's also really helpful for me. Like if I can look to the future, that kind of helps pull me out of the present, and then I can be positive like, oh, in 2 months we can do this, and this is what we should be working on, and just that helps me a lot. So just kind of planning ahead and like how we want to approach things. And it's, I know I'm gonna have to grind, and I'm willing to do that, and then I'm just hoping that it'll be enough.
Hmm. And if
So
not, all you can do is do your best.
yeah,
You know,
exactly,
like
exactly,
you'll get there, and like if it's not enough time, I know it's not going to be regret filled. This
right,
this journey back, you'll get to where you get, and I'm sure it's going to be a high level, but at least you're gonna do everything in your control to do it. So like,
for sure.
and that should be it. That's
Oh,
should be enough.
yeah, I'm always like, even if I'm 80% might be better than others 100. So it'll be, that's at least what I'm telling myself.
Right, right.
Like, I'll be fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll hope. Cool. So yeah, I guess so. Next place we can see you is Vegas.
Vegas,
Vegas. We'll
baby.
be there. Go see Jabberwockies. I'm serious.
Yeah, no, I know. And
All right.
I think, I'm sorry, but you might have a party crasher because I think Mila wants to go. She's real into.
Oh, I want to go with
Yeah.
Mila.
Okay, good. So
I
yeah,
think
Mila's coming to Vegas. So
nice.
it is the following week. And this has been really tough because I was, because of the surgery, they didn't want me flying that far home within like 2 weeks of the surgery, just because sitting for really long periods puts a lot of stress on the spine. So they
For
were
sure.
like, so this is the longest I've been without Mila, and this was not the intention of this trip, of me being here this long initially. So for her birthday, and then we have Christmas for a few weeks, and then I'm coming right back to do the rehab.
Mm.
So I'm away from her way more than ever anticipated. It's really hard. So her birthday is February 7th. So my mom and I are going to do Vegas with her, and they have, she's super into like performances. So we're going to do like Circus de Lay and all the shows.
Mm. Will she like hip hop dance?
Yes, she
Okay.
does hip.
She does. Oh, we gotta go. She's gonna love it.
I didn't say she's good. I just said she does it.
That's
But yeah,
fun.
yeah,
To watch Jabberwockies is gonna be great. I was
yeah.
thinking about that. I was like, are those dudes just like old now? Are they gonna be as good as they were?
They're old. They have to be. That was like, how old were we when that was happening?
Well, the ABDC, America's Best Dance Crew, that was like 15 years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like,
So dudes are definitely pushing 40, but like that's
yeah,
not that old, right?
yeah, no, that's not that
That's not
old.
that old, right?
7 years from
Yeah,
now.
that's no problem. Yeah.
Yeah,
You could still PR in HYROX, so you could probably still dance good for hip hop,
yeah, yeah,
maybe. All right,
yeah.
cool. So we'll see you in Vegas. Sounds like you'll be in New York for a bit. But that's just holiday stuff.
Just holiday stuff.
Okay.
I got the Concept 2 bike right in the living room. Gonna be hitting it hard.
Well, that's right. You
That's
got one of those. Good,
I'm,
good
I
move.
Do you think I could do like some push-ups? Like, do you think I could do some pull-ups? Like, that's like just body weight, right? Like, that's
You're just
not
gonna be doing curls. You're just gonna be hammering arms.
a hammer curls for like 4 weeks.
Just super
So,
yoked biceps. All right, cool. Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing your story. It's gonna be fun watching you pull yourself back. And I'm sure it's been very challenging up until this point. But like I said before, if there's anybody who's gonna be able to come back at a high level, is you. So
Thanks.
always rooting for you.
Positive. We're staying positive.
You've gone through the grief. Now you're up.
I've read and listened to that the Kobe Bryant quote after he had ruptured his Achilles.
Well, what is it?
Oh, it's like really awesome. I'll have to send it to you. But it's everything. It encompasses everything that you think. Like when this stuff happens, it's like it's 3 a.m. I'm in so much pain. I'm painkillers. I can't help but ask myself why me. And then it just turns right into like I love the quote. If you see me in a fight with a bear, worry about the bear. It goes right into like I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna destroy everybody, like that kind of thing. And it's like a roller coaster, and that's literally what this is like. So it's just kind of like reminding myself that even the best people in the world have these same feelings. So
Totally. Cool.
It's all gonna be good.
Cool, Meg. Well, appreciate you popping on. Yeah, we'll just keep this rolling. We'll talk to you soon.